It's another fucking favorite YouTuber. Doubt it. I'm nobody's favorite YouTuber. But, just want to do a little intro really quick. So this is my long-awaited, long-expected, just kidding, nobody cares, part 2 of my alternative vlogs, The Dark Side. And it might seem a little jumbled and skipped around because I started recording some of it last week at like a totally different location and stuff like that, so most of it is probably going to be coming from right here, but I might jump around a little bit just so people don't get confused. I've been making this video for a little while, but I had other videos that I was making while this was going on, so I mentioned the Boise trip being one of the lies, like, you know, that she's told, because it's not just one lie, and it's also when I started paying attention to her channel. I've subscribed to her before that, but it's when I really started paying attention to her channel, because there were these really, really emotional live streams where I was like, oh my god, what's going on? What's wrong? Can I help in any way? Like, can I offer any support? You know what I mean? You're kind of like, whoa, what's going on? And then they have since been deleted, but I have a couple screen grabs from them, and it's just like a really, really inconsistent story. I'll leave it at that, and then I'll show the clips, and then do a little.
Hey guys. So I went on my trip to Boise, got robbed, stranded, my phone was dead. I come home, and I find tons of drug paraphernalia everywhere. And Brandon's just not the same person anymore that he used to be. And he refuses to see that. He thinks that I'm an abusive monster. And
so, I have a third party who verified through the person that alternative claims robbed her. And the story that I was told was similar in the sense of the setting and the place and the, time and all that kind of stuff, but vastly different as far as the whole I was robbed and left out in the cold and all of that kind of stuff. So I won't get into it too much, but basically it was like at a strip club. She went to Boise to go be at a strip club with visit one of her friends, and there was like a stack of bills that was placed on the tip rail where her friend was up on the stage dancing, and she was like sitting on the lap or sitting with the person that put the money on the tip rail. And for people who don't know how tip rails work, that's her money. Like, that's her money. The tip rail is for the girl on the stage. And she grabbed the money that was hers, and Brianna has now since flipped that into I was robbed for, I don't know, I guess $50 or $100, however much is in a stack. And she sets the narrative very early of I was robbed and abandoned, and the abandonment also comes in the form of Brandon. But specifically before that, she was not just kicked out of the strip club and left in the cold. Like, she literally was at a hotel right across the street from the strip club. So she was kicked out of the strip club because she became violent with people in the strip club, like the girl in the, not locker room, like the dressing room, became violent with them and then was asked to leave, understandably. So that's its own thing. But then like, very, very quickly sets this narrative of I was robbed and abandoned, and the abandonment, not only from the strip club, but was when she claims that Brandon was an hour and a half late to pick her up after someone drove 38 hours to get her, which doesn't make sense because the drive from Seattle to Boise is only 8 hours. So it's 16 hours round trip. It's half of what she said, like less than half of what she said round trip, including traffic. I did the math, including traffic, like the longest route and including traffic. And oh my gosh. So she basically says that Brandon like kicks her out of her own car, and then leaves her in Boise with no phone, no, like all of her stuff was in the car, and he just drives off. So when I first saw this live stream, I was like, what a D-bag, you know what I mean? Like, what an ass. But I soon came to realize that it's just part of this game that is constantly played.
I'm exhausted, and he was an hour and 45 minutes late to pick me up after we drove. Michael drove 38 hours straight to come get me from Boise because I was stranded. And all we wanted him to do was come get me. And I was mad. I was really mad. And then I asked him to pull over so I could get out cool. And he drove away. He left me in freezing weather. In my car with my cell phone and everything I own. He just left me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna include all the clips that I have, because I personally don't want to just take advantage of someone crying, even if I believe it to be, you know, untrue. I don't really want to just like, oh, she's crying, ha ha ha, let's make fun of her. That's not what I'm here for. It's just about getting the story, like getting the full story from her. And oh goodness. And basically what happened is, I'll either include the rest or not include the rest, but the next day, she claims, she deleted the live stream, of course, she deleted those videos, and then the next day claims that it was all part of a flashback, that she was in this dissociative state where she believed that Brandon was her ex-boyfriend, and that she was confusing their actions, and that it was a misunderstanding and the Boise trip never happened. Which could make sense. Of course it could make sense. But the next day, she makes another live stream where, and actually what's funny is that I originally missed that one. So I got screenshots screen recordings of the stream from the next day where she is not in a panic. She is not in a flashback. She is calm, collected, packing her things, iterating the same exact story, deciding that she's gonna leave. Like, she even, and it's not even that she's afraid of Brandon or anything like that, because she straight yells at him. She's like, you have something to say? Blah, 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 blah. Like, so that's where the problem for me with this Boise trip thing is, like, even without knowing before I knew what really happened in Boise, I was like, there's something really off about that. Like, you can't just, oh, I was in a panic, sorry, where I accused him of doing drugs. Like, so the drug thing, like, she's like, no, I was confusing him, except it's very well known that you two do drugs together. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and she even admits there, like, when Brandon is like, she'll tell Brandon, like, hey, I think you should stop doing drugs. And he was like, well, what were you doing 3 days ago? What were you doing a week ago? So she was, I'm not know about today, but she was still using drugs that entire time. So, and then she goes on to be like, and then I relapse and I'm blamed for it and shamed for it. Obviously you shouldn't be shamed for it, but your relapses are your responsibility. I understand, like, if this person continuously brings drugs into your house and you don't like it or whatever, you staying is your responsibility. And even if the situation is bad and you can't get out because, you know, a lot of women, you know, can't just up and leave whatever situation they're in, then you, at the very least, don't do the drugs. You know what I mean? Your relapses, it's the same thing she says about, like, triggers. Like, she'll go on and on about how our triggers are our own responsibility, but then, even in a live stream where Brandon was showing up, she's like, you're triggering us? Fuck off. Like, not really how people get triggered, but
I can't leave, you guys. I keep having sleep comas. If I could leave, I would. I don't want to be here. Ashley and Elsie are not having a good time. I don't need hospitalization. I need somebody to listen to me. I can't. I don't want X on me. I gotta go.
Yeah, so for the last part, she brings it home. You know what I mean? She brings it home for all of the people watching at him. She's mentions the fact that her littles, who everybody knows that you always want to help children and stuff, so her littles aren't having a good time. That she would leave, but she can't because she keeps having sleep comas. An invisible illness. If you watched my Munchausen series, it's kind of important. You should probably check that out. But she keeps having sleep comas. And then it's never fails, but she leaves it on a super dramatic note of just going dead in the eyes and saying, I have to go. Like, making you think that she's literally gonna try to hurt herself or something like that. So the whole stream was just very, very, very manipulative, and I think it was Game of Thrones where Tyrion or someone like that mentioned that his sister, Cersei, was very good at making honest emotions do dishonest work. And I think that that phrase has so much of a place in our world and in the way people act and the way they go about dealing with people online. I think some people are very good at making honest emotions do dishonest work.
And right before the Boise story, I'll do another time. Let's just say, long story short, Brandon left me in Boise because I was upset. I asked him to pull over the road, and he left me in Boise. He took all of my things, including my cell phone. I didn't have a jacket, nothing. And then he just drives back to Bremerton with my car, and then I get here, and my car's not here. And like, he's mumbling in the other room. Like, I don't know what he's trying to say. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to have a conversation with you right now. I would really rather just have a conversation with my live stream, please. What? I'm telling the truth. I what? He's mumbling. I can't even fucking hear him. Then come out here and talk to me. If it's that important. Those are exactly the things that you said. Then what did you say? Why don't you come up here? I have nothing to hide. Come tell your side of the story. Come tell them your side of the story then. Because I'm not hiding anything from anybody. I'm not twisting anything. I'm telling it like it is. Just like Michael is. You just literally run around in circles with bullshit excuses over and over and over again. Please let me do my live stream. And, he keeps saying I interrupt him before he can talk, but all the things that come out of his mouth is blaming me for whatever's happening, or telling me, oh, well, you did this. Well, okay, you're mad at me because, well, you did. It's childish. It's childish. I don't have time for it. And I luckily Devin just had a room open up in his condo. I gotta end the live stream. He's like freaking out, dude. Like, I gotta end the live stream.
Oh, and one last thing. It's pretty weird that also that this friend in Boise that, you know, robbed her and all of this bad stuff, Brandon still follows her on Instagram. So I'm just gonna leave that where it is. All right, so now it's time to get into the really sticky subject of her exploitation of Ashley and Elsie. I put a little definition of DDLG there if everybody is not familiar with it. And I kind of wanted to start off with this post where it's one of those things where it's like, come on, man, are we really supposed to buy that that's not sexual?
Yeah, my friends and my socks.
The idea that this is the picture that is giving everybody pause. Yes, maybe that's the picture that gave everybody pause to begin with, but there are other things that she is not addressing, and God love her. She deleted the featured video she had of Ashley and Elsie and things like that, which is fine. It's her right. But all it took is a little Instagram search through her page to see that she's advertising for her adult OnlyFans and her adult content. And if you scroll up a little bit more, oops, there's Elsie. Age regression. Live age regression combined with sexuality. It's a constant theme with her. And then, whoops, scrolled up a little bit more, and there's some more Elsie combined with some more sex worker content. It's a pattern. The problem everybody has is with the repeated sketchy behavior of sexualizing her littles. And not just doing that, but lying about it as if she is unaware completely. She would never, could never, would never do something like that. But she actively and continuously does. And she confuses her dual audience of people who consume her sex worker content and people who watch her on YouTube just for DID. And there's a very clear crossover that she just denies outright. I will never, ever. And then she even says, I dare you to tell me my content is sexualizing littles. Okay, plenty of people have shown that you do. And while I understand about, there are like more photos of her doing exactly that I'm not going to include because it's sketchy sitch to get into, because that's part of the narrative, as she said, about reporting channels that were harassing her because they were spreading pictures of her in very compromising situations while she was being traumatized. So whether or not that is true, it basically ethically pulls them off the table. And I know that it shouldn't, and that I should still include them, but honestly, ethically, I'm just not trying to get into that. Like, I'm gonna keep my hands clean of that one. The other post, I'll put it here, that everybody is also mad about is advertising your, 3-year-old little on your adult sex worker page. So she fell into a familiar pattern when Elsie posted on her adult sex worker page, where she just pulled it off and said, well, Elsie did it, I didn't know about it, it's not my fault, which is a very familiar pattern for her to fall into. But she still has never answered for the post that I just posted about on her OnlyFans page, actively talking about, like, because she, like, that's not a situation where Elsie posted it or where Ashley posted it. She posted on her page that, oh, this is my sexy bath time video, and Ashley pops out when she gets super excited. That is saying, during my adult sex video, a 3-year-old will pop out and participate. That is, it's a firm no. It's a biggin' no. I didn't feel like messing with my stand. But basically, in either of these situations, she needs to have system accountability. And she needs to take responsibility for the actions, whether it's, oh, Elsie posted it, or whether it's actually you advertising for it, which is incredibly gross and harmful, and you shouldn't do it. Like, you have to take responsibility for it. And blaming Elsie in one situation and then outright never answering for the other is not accountability. It's just avoidance. Yeah, but honestly, I gotta move on from that, because if people watching it either do or don't think that she is sexualizing her underage alters, that is not an opinion that, if you don't follow the train of thought and where it leads, and you just actively ignore it, then you're not going to agree. So I'm not going to change anybody's opinion about it. If you're her fan, you're going to think that I'm wrong. If you think that I'm right, then you're going to think that I'm right, because you already think that. So whatever. I really got to move on from that, because I can't be my videos be an hour long. But now I have to move on to outright lies. Just lies. And this will probably get a little jumbled with, mixed up with abuse of other creators and manipulation of her fans. But the outright lies that just in a day or so of watching content I've found, and the cognitive bias about them, is just... Still needed to record. So the couple big lies that really dictated the way that the public relates to her was two things that I can really see because I bought it, you know what I mean, was that this story of being sexually harassed, which snowballed into this huge, oh my god, I'm being sexually harassed, everybody's sexually harassing me, when it actually started out with one post by Hopelessly Realistic. I'm going to say their name at this point. I've talked to them at this point, gotten their side of the story. And it all started with a post. It actually goes on the other side. I just remembered. It goes on the other side. So it's this post right here, where, while she's age regressed, Hopelessly Realistic literally just asks, like, why aren't you wearing pants? Or, like, says something about the shorts that she's wearing because she's exposing a lot of skin while she's, supposed to be a child. She doesn't say all of that explicitly. She just asked the thing about the shorts. But that has snowballed now into this sexual harassment claim that, oh my god, they're sexually harassing me. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Which is... because, like, and she's put body shaming in there. Like, you could maybe call that light body shaming, except that it's an inquiry, like, trying to help you. You know what I mean? Like, or at least questioning your behavior. And it's not harassment when someone questions your behavior. Like, even if they go about it the wrong way, they're still questioning your behavior. That's it. More specifically, Vangelina Skov, is she's gone on and said, Vangelina Skov made videos about me and went on this screaming rampage that I did put in part 1, blaming her for herself, blaming Vangelina for alternative self-harm, blaming her for everything that's happened to her, and stop making videos about her, that kind of thing. And Vangelina Skov never made a video about alternative. I'll say it again for the people in the back. Vangelina Skov never made a video about alternative. Vangelina Skov made the innocent mistake of getting involved through Twitter when she saw things that were troubling. And called out or, whatever on Twitter. And that has then again snowballed into this huge story of Vangelina making videos about her and people sexually harassing her, when these things started as very, very small incidences that were not what she is claiming. They are lies. Call them like it is. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a chicken. You know what I'm saying?
I know account, and then I find myself wanting to voice, so I just make a new account like everyone does, and type some comments on my friend's channel. Just, again, I'm anonymous because why would I be anonymous going up against, well, I thought they were horrendous trolls, now I find out they're sorry about that. So you might say, well, yeah, since I see their specialization is attacking the ID system, I didn't want to put a target on my partner's back, so I'm like, listen, I don't want them after them, but I still want to defend my friends, so I'll make a new account. Not just one at a time, so always generally one at a time. And I would do it. And the thing is, I won't even say how many times I did, maybe 3 or 4. The names are out there. They eventually found out, they figured it out. And
I wasn't super sure if I was going to include this part because of the Eric in it showing up in my comments, and oh God, it was like in the middle of last night. I was trying to watch Elvira and was not in the mood. But it's interesting that, like, one of the biggest complaints Alternative has about people that are, harassing her or whatever is that they make sock accounts. They make sock accounts to come and bully her. Bullying is like the fun trigger word of the day. Is that they're making sock accounts to come and bully her. While in the stream, Eric basically lays out that he did make other accounts, like that, and it's under the guise of trying to protect his friends, which, fair, but you're still making accounts. Somebody blocks you, which means they clearly don't want to have any communication with you, and then you make a new account and come, and then make a new account and come. That is the harassment that she is claiming is so severe, and yet it's totally explained away as being fine when it benefits her. When she can use another YouTuber to benefit her, she doesn't really care about the means. In the same way that she pushed another YouTuber, Nocturnal Rainbows, into some very bad behavior that is not like her. I've seen since then that which is not like her, with death threats and this and that or whatever. It's totally fine. She even went on Discord and said, like, it's totally fine. Like, she co-signs the behavior that she says is being done to her and is so troubling, instead of rising above. Like me, I don't care what someone says to me. I'm not going to make a sock account. Like, I'll make a second account if my channel gets deleted or something like that. But I'm not going to make a sock account to go and comment on other people's videos. And especially the trend of commenting and then deleting so that there's no evidence. It's just sketch, suspicious. Today is Monday, new murder mystery makeup, suspicious.
Here's the thing. How gaslighting and this kind of stuff works is various ways, I won't go into everything, but every time me says something that's like a good question that they're not really, it's going to be awkward for them, uncomfortable, and they're not going to be able to have a good answer to, they pretend I never asked it. So if I say something inconvenient that they're not going to have a comeback to, they pretend I never saw it. That's how it goes for 5 months. So it's kind of frustrating when you can't force someone to answer something, and there's nobody else really keeping track except me. So I just do my stream.
Man, he is right on the nose with that. And that's why I included it, because I'm not, like, I'm sorry that I'm using your point against you, but that is exactly the problem with Alternative and this sexualizing littles and abuse to other creators and stuff like that. Is like, with my interaction with them on Twitter, I asked very benign questions. I asked, like, about abuse to other creators, like, and on her live stream, evidence or whatever. But whenever you're on her live stream, or whenever if you ask her a good question, like a thoughtful question where you're like, hey, this, this and this, she'll pretend as if you never asked it, and she'll immediately start railing about Mark and the cult and abuse and all of this stuff that basically tries to shut you down with her victim narrative. And it's so funny that, like, right in this stream where she's sitting there listening, like, it has I don't know if, I think that one just went right over her head. Like, whenever anybody asks her any questions, legitimate ones, she pretends as if they've never been asked and starts answering questions that they didn't ask about Hopelessly Realistic or Mara or Mark. You know what I'm saying? It's mind-boggling that you don't get how that is exactly your MO. Sorry, it might seem like I'm jumping around a lot. I'm going back where I recorded in, another place and re-recording different parts and stuff like that. But the problem is that, well, I don't doubt that this person has people who are, that was both of my cats at one time, but has people who are against them and has, because meme pages made about them, all that kind of stuff. And I know that must suck. But whenever she mentions it, the people who are, against her or, trying to take her down or anything like that, it's always about Hopelessly Realistic and Mark, where these people, oh my god, that's so great. These people are not part of some supposed cult. These are people from the community that you belong to, or at least did belong to before you said that they were all pieces of crap and were crappy people and should have come to defend you when things were happening in your life where you cut yourself and then tagged Dissociate tweet in a, whatever. These are people who are saying that you have failed them, that they're disappointed in the way that you have acted, and that they, as a community, feel that you have let them down. So, where does that come into her abuse and harassment narrative when people aren't, there are several of these people who don't have any screenshots, don't have any nothing. They're just openly talking about how she has failed them or disappointed them, and they're mostly very young people who are just getting into this online community and are met with such hostility and drama that they're like, wow, is this my life? If I want to be part of this online community, is this what I'm going to be forced to be subject to? Is drama and harassment and doxing and lawyers and criminal cases? And it's not. It's just this person who is a problem. And I'm not aiming for their deplatformization, or is it deplatforming? I'm not aiming for their deplatforming. It's just, if they continue to have a platform, they need to be accountable for things that they've done and not, wipe it away with well, I've rebranded. It's now Stephani Alternative. Well, just because you've rebranded doesn't miraculously make all of the things that you've done disappear. I saw a TikTok the other day of a mom who literally had a piece of paper, and she told her little daughters to say something mean to the piece of paper, and then every time they said something mean, she crumpled it a little bit, and then they said, oh, you're ugly, oh, you're, that's why your mom doesn't love you, and then she crumbles up the paper into a thing. And then she said, now say nice things to the paper. Oh, you're pretty, we love you, blah, blah, blah. And she opens up the paper. And then she asks them, she puts it on the table and she says, now is it fixed? And the paper it's not back to the way it was because it's all crumpled, and you can straighten it out, but you can still see all of the cracks in it from where it was crumpled. And that is exactly what she's doing to people who interact with her and what she's doing to the community that she's not a part of anymore, but still puts out all of her, you know what I mean? So, I really like my mask. I love this mask, but, sorry. Just got back from dinner, and I think that's probably going to be it for me for part 2. It's a little jumbled because I thought I was going to have a really clear narrative of lies, abuse, a very, set way of going, but it's gotten a little jumbled, you know what I mean? So that's probably going to be it for number 2, but I do think I am going to have at least one more part where I really try to do a deep dive into outright abuse and toxic behavior towards other creators, where even if you're not part of the DID community anymore, you are a part of the YouTube creator collective, and I don't know if that's not what it's called, but you know what I mean? And you have to be accountable to how you treat your peers on this platform. You know what I mean? You have to be a little bit aware and a little bit accountable of how you treat other creators on the platform. So that's probably going to be it. It's a bit of a long one, but hopefully it's a clear train of thought. It might be a little jumbled because I went from place to place in time. Some of it I've recorded a week ago and some of it today, so hopefully it comes out pretty clear, not really concise, but pretty clear. And you know, drop your thing, do your thing. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's specific things you want me to cover in part 3. And I don't know. But I will say off top, don't bully people. Like, I saw in my last video some very bullyish type comments towards Eric, and I think it's just Eric, but you know what I mean, a little bit of like bullying type content, and that is not, I'm not here for that. Like, I'm not about bullying people. Like, literally, if you have something to say it, but don't be a poop face. Like, I'm trying to come up with insults that don't have curses in them. Don't be a poop face. Like, just say what you have to say, or a criticism, or a healthy, constructive way to have a conversation. And if you don't have something nice to say, just don't say it. Right, Angerbrota? She knows what it is. Say something nice. Say something nice instead of something mean.